Ah, the holidays, the most wonderful time of the year. A time for celebration and family traditions, for Christmas parties and decorations, for lights and trees, for carols and gifts. And if you're Killer Shrew fan, a time to put together 12 whole reviews to release every day in a lead up to Christmas. That's right, Christmas time is upon us once again, and with it comes another season of Killer Shrew Fan's 12 Days of Reviews. A yearly celebration of some of the best dinosaur models, toys, and figures that I am yet to give proper recognition to on this channel. As always, there's going to be a great variety, with everything ranging from new figures from classic companies to the works of up-and-coming independent artists. So join me in my little countdown to Christmas. It's Killer Shrew Fan's 12 Days of Reviews, and it all starts right now. We're going to kick things off with a model from an artist that is new to my collection, but first, a little background. If there's one dinosaur young Killer Shrew fan never properly appreciated, it was Edmontosaurus. Whether that was because of the ugly, outdated restorations that dotted the pages of the dinosaur books I frequented, or its all too cliched role as mere fodder for the then much more awesome T-Rex, who's to say? However, I'm happy that my interest in dinosaurs rekindled at the time that it did, because it allowed me to catch up on all of the amazing new discoveries I had missed, while also letting me stay up to date in this golden age of paleontology. And perhaps one of the greatest dinosaur glow-ups in recent memory has been with Edmontosaurus. Evolving from a cumbersome duck lizard to a powerful, thick-skinned, rooster-combed lizard horse. A truly remarkable animal indeed, and one we're so very lucky to know so much about. Equally lucky has been its treatment in figure form over the past few years, with both Safari Ltd and Collecta releasing 2 updated models. And although both are good in their own way, they do seem to represent the same species, that being E. regalis. It wouldn't be until the spring of this year that an E. annectens figure would come in the form of this sensational model from Ancestors Models. And at 4.5 inches, or just under 11 centimeters tall to the top of the head, and measuring in at just over 16 inches long, or 40.5 centimeters if you measure along the curve of the neck and tail, it certainly has a lot of presence and captures the impressive size of the animal, while also allowing it to slot nicely into the 135 scale range for a roughly 46-foot specimen. Certainly within the realm of possibility for an animal whose upper estimates reach just under 50 feet in length. So if you really want a sense of just how big Edmontosaurus got compared to its contemporaries, then this is the figure for you. But going in for a closer look, as you can see, the head sculpt reflects the long, low skull of E. annectens, terminating in a keratinous, overhanging mustache-style beak. Interestingly enough, Ancestors chose to include the fleshy comb associated with regalis, but as far as I know, this is purely inference, as no such structure has been found in relation to annectens. Still, I don't think its inclusion here is too outlandish by any means. I'm very impressed with how precisely those minuscule yellow eyes have been painted, and the subtle scale detail across the head here is amazing. The neck then features the large rectangular scales of the animal, and I like how they're sort of folded over on one side with the turn of the head, while the opposite side gives you a nice clean look at that distinct feature. The rest of the body is covered in fine scale details, as well as beautifully rendered wrinkles and skin folds that form with the positioning of the limbs and curvature of the tail, stretching tighter in some areas and sagging or folding over themselves in others. The tail of the figure is sculpted in a half-curled position, and this is perhaps my only area of critique on the sculpt of this figure. And I'm not even sure if it's actually a sculpt thing or if this happened in the printing process, but the curve of the tail from a dorsal view has a very lumpy, uneven look to it. Maybe it's just mine, and obviously it's not even a problem when on display, but I did want to mention it just in case. Looking at the limbs of the animal, you can see the front legs are proportionally shorter than the hind limbs and do terminate in that large hoof-like nail. Meanwhile, the back legs are quite robust in comparison, with wide thighs, powerful calves, and sturdy ankles. I like the subtle lift in the left foot there, and how the toes on the right foot are more splayed out as they distribute the weight of the animal. Looking at the back of the figure, you can see the spine sports ridged scales that begin at the back of the skull and run down the length of the body, while the underside boasts more pronounced scale details between the gathering folds of skin that frame the gut. And yes, you do have a cloaca on this figure. Meanwhile, you can see more of the folds of skin on the tail here, bunching up like a shirt sleeve. The pose of the figure is quite nice. It looks as though the Edmontosaurus is braced, tail sweeping back, and head turned to face an adversary. That turn in the head really gives this piece a great look from virtually any angle, but this is perhaps my favorite view of the figure right here. And that's the sculpt. All of these subtle details paired with the impressive size and attention to accuracy make it an absolute slam dunk in my book. As for the coloration, it's predominantly lime green against a cream underbelly with dark stripes and speckling that frame yellow markings, all of which seems to be a direct homage to the design we see in Walking with Dinosaurs. The paint style puts me in mind of the likes of Safari and Beasts of the Mesozoic with its bold and graphic nature, which stands in stark contrast to the more subdued paint jobs we see on the likes of, say, PNSO. That isn't to say the paint job is simplistic, not at all. A closer look reveals all of the amazing transitions in color and subtle mix of shades and modeling. You can even see the brush strokes at this close-up, and when you have an independent artist creating a limited run of figures like this, I don't know, I think it's nice to see the hand of the artist showing through in the work. And speaking of the technical side, I will mention that this figure is incredibly lightweight. Seriously, I was a little surprised when I first got it. I believe it is 3D printed in hollow resin, and I will give just a little word of caution to handle this and all similar figures with care. Mine unfortunately arrived looking like a T-Rex had gotten a hold of it in customs and it needed some repair work done. He'll have a bit of a dino damage scar because of it, but hopefully it can serve as a cautionary tale to the rest of you. Man, between this, the Beast of the Mesozoic Adult Trike, and Nanmu Rearing Brack, this has just not been my year for getting figures in one piece. Oh well. At least 2 out of 3 of those companies were concerned with making things right. Getting into some size comparisons, I'll start by bringing in Collecta's 2022 Edmontosaurus, and this makes for a great visual comparison between Regalis and annectens. You can see the skull is much shorter and more robust on Collecta's Regalis offering. It also goes to show you just how much more subtle the sculpt work is on Ancestor's piece. Then we have Safari Ltd's Edmontosaurus from a few years back. Not a bad figure, but a little on the small side and now missing a few distinguishing features, i.e. the large singular nail. But such is life in dinosaur model collecting. Then of course, gotta bring in a T-Rex to show you just how big Edmontosaurus really was. This is of course PNSO's Wilson, and as you can see, any T-Rex in its right mind would probably think twice before attacking a healthy, full-grown adult Edmontosaurus. Turns out, they weren't just T-Rex fodder all along. Maybe the real T-Rex fodder was the friends we made along the way. And finally, here's a nice Class of Hell Creek formation group shot. I apologize for not including a Torosaurus, but I did go ahead and bring in Doyle the Triceratops, Seed the Ankylosaurus, and Austin the Pachycephalosaurus alongside Wilson and the Edmontosaurus here. And I don't know, I think that's a pretty good looking group if I do say so myself. And that's all for comparisons, but...
hello there!
Wait, what? Oh, it's our good friend, 135 scale Shrek, here to give you an idea of how an ogre might size up to an Edmontosaurus in life. Alright, that's enough out of you, back to your swamp. And that was Ancestors 135 scale Edmontosaurus annectens, and overall, this is the Edmontosaurus I have been waiting for. Great detail and paint and an attention to accuracy, all on an impressive size, make this one dynamite figure. Collectas and safaris were serviceable enough, but this thing is just on a whole nother level, as you'd expect it to be given that it's a handmade piece. If you're at all interested in purchasing one for yourself, I actually think Ancestors has finished their limited run of this model, but I will be sure to leave a link to their Instagram where you can follow all of their upcoming projects so you don't miss out again. And, I mean, if this Edmontosaurus is any indication, yeah, you're gonna want to keep an eye on Ancestors. But as always, I want to know what you guys think of this figure, so be sure to leave all of your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the first episode of 12 Days of Reviews. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all again tomorrow when I'll be going on safari. But until then, take care out there, and bye-bye.